Welcome, everyone. Today we're diving into another exploration of the daily lessons from A Course in Miracles.
That's right. We're focusing today on lesson 295. The title is The Holy Spirit Looks Through Me Today.
It's quite a direct invitation, isn't it? To sort of open our eyes in a completely new way.
Mm-hmm. It asks us to allow Christ's vision to step in, to redeem how we see the world.
And our goal here, as always, is to really explore the source text for this lesson. We want to pull out the practical ideas, the inspiration you can use day to day.
Yeah, looking closely at this idea of shared vision and what unified redemption actually means in practice, taking these big concepts and making them tangible.
Whether you're just starting with a course or you've been practicing for years, these concepts of willingness, of shared sight, they're foundational.
Definitely. And we'll get into why the lesson insists redemption must be unified, why real peace, lasting peace, isn't possible if we're still excluding anyone.
Before we read the lesson text, just a reminder, we genuinely love hearing from you, your thoughts, your questions. They really enrich this whole process. Find us on TikTok and YouTube. Just search for @The World Harmony Project. Okay, let's start with the reading of Lesson 295 itself.
I'll begin with the main part of the lesson.
Okay.
Lesson 295, The Holy Spirit Looks Through Me Today. Christ asks that he may use my eyes today and thus redeem the world. He asks this gift that he may offer peace of mind to me and take away all terror and all pain. And as they are removed from me, the dreams that seem to settle on the world are gone. Redemption must be won. As I am saved, the world is saved with me. For all of us must be redeemed together. Fear appears in many different forms, but love is one.
And then there's the concluding prayer, which is really our practical instruction for the day.
Mm-hmm.
My Father, Christ has asked a gift of me, and one I give that it be given me. Help me to use the eyes of Christ today and thus allow the Holy Spirit's love to bless all things which I may look upon, that his forgiving love may rest on me.
So that opening line, Christ asks that he may use my eyes today. It really goes straight to the heart of the ego's defense system, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. The ego's whole game is built on the idea that my sight is mine, private, essential for judging, for keeping me safe.
Right. Control is everything to the ego. Control what I see, control my interpretation, therefore control my safety, my boundaries.
So this idea of letting someone or something else use my eyes, well, initially, that can feel threatening, like losing control, maybe even losing my individuality.
And it's crucial to understand what's actually being offered here. It's not about, literally giving away your physical eyeballs. They still see light and form.
The physical mechanism remains. The eyes report sensory data.
The shift is in the mind. It's about handing over the interpretation function, the meaning-making part. My eyes see a shape, but my mind decides if it's a threat, an annoyance, or a brother.
And the ego uses that interpretation function relentlessly, doesn't it? To find evidence for separation, for conflict, for grievance.
Constantly scanning, judging, categorizing. So when Christ asks to use our eyes, he's asking to use that interpretive function, that vision, to shift its purpose entirely, from judgment to forgiveness.
We're being asked to trust.
Yeah.
To trust that a vision based in love, in unity, actually serves us better, brings more peace than the fear-based vision ever could.
And notice how carefully the lesson frames this. It calls the request a gift. Right away, he asks this gift that he may offer peace of mind to me.
Ah, yes, that emphasizes the exchange.
Yeah.
Giving and receiving, which is such a core teaching in the Course.
The law of giving and receiving being one, we give the gift our willingness to stop seeing through the ego's filter.
And what we receive back is peace of mind. Relief from terror and pain, as the lesson says.
It's a beautiful transaction, really. A cost-free exchange. Gave up the small, tight, stressful view.
And receive the vast, calm, unified view.
But it does require trust. A leap of faith, almost. We're so deeply conditioned to believe we have to label everything instantly. Is this good for me? Bad for me? Safe? Dangerous?
That constant rapid-fire judgment feels like a survival mechanism.
Exactly. So the lesson invites us to pause that mechanism, to trust the Holy Spirit's interpretation, which is always about recognizing shared innocence, shared identity, over the meaning we feel forced to impose.
The Holy Spirit doesn't change the external picture, but changes how we see it, how we understand it.
Right. It transforms the world for us because the world as we perceive it is just the meanings, mostly fearful, that we've projected onto it.
Change the projector, our mind's interpretation, and the image on the screen, the world naturally changes.
So this is where it gets really practical. If we accept this idea, even intellectually at first, that vision isn't strictly private, that it can be shared,
then every time we choose to get upset, every time we hold a grievance against someone or feel frustrated by a situation,
we're essentially saying, nope, I'm keeping my sight, thanks. My private, stressful, conflict-ridden sight.
I prefer my judgment to the possibility of shared peace.
And making that choice reinforces the illusion of separation. It feels like proof that vision is private because only I see how wrong this person is, or only I understand how bad this situation is.
Yet the lesson offers such a simple requirement for this profound shift. Just stop deciding what everything means. We've heard that before many times.
It sounds simple, but it's the ego's whole job description, to decide what everything means.
So the first step, the only real step we need to take, is that willingness, that tiny crack in our certainty, the small yes to seeing differently.
The moment we loosen that tight grip on our own interpretation, even just for an instant, space opens up, the mind quiets down a bit.
And a different understanding can slip in. We don't have to fight the fear or argue with the anger.
No, the mechanism the Course suggests is much gentler. Just relinquish control over meaning. Let go of the need to be right about the grievance.
The Holy Spirit then provides the alternative interpretation. Our job is just to stop blocking it, stop insisting on our own version. The Holy Spirit needs that little bit of willingness, that loosening of control, before offering the new meaning.
I had an experience, mundane perhaps, but these everyday irritations can be surprisingly sticky. It involved noisy upstairs neighbors.
The bane of apartment living, those repetitive low-grade annoyances could be harder to let go of sometimes than the big dramas.
They really can, because the ego feels so utterly justified. For a long time, every footstep, every dropped object felt like a personal affront.
You built a whole story around it.
A detailed narrative. They're inconsiderate. They do it on purpose. They don't care about my peace. I wasted so much mental energy trying to figure out how to control them, how to make them stop.
And that internal argument, that constant mental commentary and struggle for control, that was the real disturbance to your peace, much more than the actual sound waves hitting your ears.
That's the insight that finally broke through. I realized I was spending more energy arguing with the noise in my head than the neighbors were probably spending making it.
So how did you apply the lesson there? How did you ask to see them through Christ's eyes?
I had to consciously stop the mental fight, stop trying to fix them or the situation, and instead ask to see them differently. Not as villains ruining my life, but just as people. People living upstairs, maybe clumsy, maybe unaware, but fundamentally just other minds caught in the same illusion.
So you stopped assigning the meaning of victimization to the sounds.
Yes, and that was the key. Realizing that the power to ruin my peace wasn't theirs. It never was. The power was entirely in my interpretation of their actions.
That takes real honesty, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because the ego screams that the problem is external. If only they would change, then I'd have peace.
It's incredibly tempting to believe that. But the liberation came when I truly accepted the problem was my reaction, my story. When I stopped seeing them as the cause of my suffering, the suffering dissolved.
So the Holy Spirit didn't, soundproof your apartment.
No. The noise didn't necessarily stop. But my argument with the noise stopped. The self-imposed strain, the resentment, the feeling of being wronged that lifted. The sound became just sound, neutral data, no longer interpreted as an attack.
It brings freedom through non-reaction. When we stop running those defensive narratives, stop collecting evidence for our case,
The mind settles. It feels more anchored. It's not constantly scanning for the next offense. Letting go of that need to control the interpretation allows a different kind of understanding to emerge. And this direct experience really illuminates that line in the lesson, redemption must be won. Because when we're each trapped in our private, fear-based interpretations, we're living in separate, often conflicting worlds.
we experience separation because we choose separation through our private judgments.
But the Course challenges this fundamentally. It says salvation, healing, redemption, whatever word you use cannot be a private affair because the sonship, our true identity, is already one.
This separation is the illusion. Therefore, the healing must undo that illusion, restoring awareness of the unity. It has to be shared.
This is a really crucial point. If we think our peace is separate from someone else's peace, we're still operating from the ego's premise of separation.
Joint sight, seeing through Christ's eyes, dissolves that boundary. Peace becomes inherently shared, which means
You can't truly find peace for yourself while actively denying it to someone else through judgment or grievance. That very act of exclusion maintains the belief in separation that is the barrier to peace.
wow. So holding on to any judgment against the colleague, the neighbor, the politician on TV, anyone is literally me choosing to exclude them from my peace.
Yes. And because redemption is won, by excluding them, you are necessarily excluding yourself from the fullness of that peace. You can't have it both ways. Hold on to judgment and experience deep, unwavering peace. That explains why forgiveness is so central. It's the mechanism for dismantling those exclusions. It is. And it leads into the next idea, the world as a mirror reflecting our choice. As I am saved, the world is saved with me. So the world isn't saved because I fixed all its external problems.
Well, the world is saved with you because your perception of the world is saved. You've changed the purpose of your seeing from finding fault to finding shared innocence. The dreams that seem to settle on the world, the terror, the conflict, the pain, they left because I stopped projecting them.
Precisely. The world acts like a screen, reflecting the movie playing in our mind. If the mind is projecting fear and judgment, the world looks fearful and judgmental.
But if the mind chooses the Holy Spirit's vision, which is always forgiveness and unity,
Then the world mirrors that back. It appears loving, forgiving, peaceful, because the meaning assigned to them has been redeemed.
this highlights the difference between what the body's eyes do and what the mind's vision does.
Right. Body's eyes see separate forms, fragments, differences. That reinforces the idea of separation.
But Christ's vision, that unified light in the mind, looks past the forms to the shared identity, the single light we all are.
So the choice is always between the ego's chaotic, private interpretation and the Holy Spirit's quiet, unified interpretation.
Which means that practicing this extending understanding, withholding judgment towards everyone we encounter, isn't just a nice thing to do. It's actively participating in the unified redemption of the whole sonship. Every interaction becomes a choice point, inclusion or exclusion, peace or conflict. And if we feel we're lacking peace, the place to look is always, who am I still holding outside my circle of forgiveness? The peace we feel is directly related to the peace we're willing to extend. Lesson 295 makes that connection absolutely clear.
When one mind accepts healing, the lesson implies that healing extends. Because mind is joined, our perception ultimately isn't private at all.
Okay, let's look at that final distinction the lesson makes. Fear appears in many different forms, but love is one. This feels key to understanding why the ego's way is so stressful and the Holy Spirit's way is restful.
Fear is the belief in separation. And since separation isn't real, fear has to keep inventing evidence for itself. It needs endless disguises, endless forms to seem real.
So, worry about money is one form. Guilt about something I said is another. Anger at the news is another. Resentment towards a family member, another.
Endless variations on a single theme. The ego is a master costume designer, constantly churning out new problems, new threats, new reasons to be anxious or annoyed.
It takes that one root, the fear of love, the belief that we're separate from our source, and dresses it up as irritation about traffic or anxiety about health or even righteous indignation about politics.
And we get caught up chasing the forms, right? If only I had more money, then I'd be okay. If only that person would apologize, then I could forgive. We try to fix the symptom. Instead of recognizing the single source, the underlying choice for separation, the choice for fear itself, fear is also very sneaky. It often presents itself as being practical.
You need to worry about this. You need to plan for that disaster. You need to stay vigilant.
That constant mental churning, disguised as responsible planning, is often just fear running the show, actively blocking the stillness where peace resides.
Which is why trying to eliminate fear one form at a time is like playing whack-a-mole. You knock down one worry,
and another one pops up as guilt or anger or physical tension. We have to go deeper to the root choice.
Love, on the other hand, works completely differently. It's described as one, unified, whole, consistent.
Because love reflects reality, the reality of our unified being. It doesn't need disguises because it has nothing to hide and nothing to prove.
So when we remove the block, which is fear, in all its forms, love isn't something we have to manufacture. It's just what's revealed. It's our natural state.
It shows up simply as patience, as quiet understanding, as appreciation instead of complaint, as just being present.
These aren't different types of love. They're just the single quality of love shining through when the clouds of fear part. And the lesson gives us that beautifully direct tool to make this happen. The concluding prayer. Help me to use the eyes of Christ today. It's like a reset button, a constant available reminder when reactivity flares up, when fear starts putting on one of his costumes.
It's an act of surrender. A willingness to see past the fear form to the loving reality underneath.
I find this so helpful in seemingly trivial situations, too, like shared spaces. I mentioned the gym earlier. Tissues left on a machine, water bottles abandoned, weights not put back. The ego can instantly build a whole case.
These people are slobs. They're disrespectful. They're ruining my workout, my space. That internal monologue of grievance.
Absolutely. And before really working with these ideas, seeing that kind of thing could genuinely cast a shadow over my whole time there. I'd be mentally complaining about these anonymous, rude people.
Which is just fear manifesting as irritation and a demand for order, for control.
Exactly.
But now there's a choice. I can catch that rising irritation and pause and use the prayer. Okay, Holy Spirit, help me use the eyes of Christ right here, looking at this messy corner. So you're asking for a different way to see it, a vision that looks past the surface offense.
Yes. The goal shifts. It's not about magically cleaning the gym or finding the culprit. It's about clearing my perception, removing the judgment filter.
What happens to the perception then?
The story collapses. I still see the tissue, the water bottle, but they become neutral facts. They lose their power to offend because I'm no longer weaving a narrative of disrespect around them.
You stop seeing it as evidence against humanity and just see it as stuff.
Pretty much. And the focus shifts back to why I'm actually there, to move my body, to feel good. The internal argument stops and peace returns. I can feel connected to the other people there, my fellow gym rats, instead of feeling separate and critical.
And that connects directly to the final promise in the prayer, when we allow the Holy Spirit's love to bless what we look upon.
That his forgiving love may rest on me. The peace comes back to the one who's willing to see peacefully.
It's the perfect illustration of unified redemption again. By extending that non-judgmental seeing outwards, even to the anonymous person who left the tissue, the healing, the peace, lands right back in my own mind.
because that forgiving vision includes everyone. There are no exceptions. And that wholeness is the healing. So this exploration of Lesson 295 really takes us on a journey, doesn't it? It starts with that simple, maybe even startling request. Let me use your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And it leads us to understand that sight, healing, peace, and redemption, they aren't private achievements. They are inherently shared, unified realities waiting for our acceptance.
We saw that Christ isn't hijacking our physical sight, but offering to transform its purpose, from being a tool for judgment and fear
to becoming a channel for forgiveness and love. And the only requirement is that willingness to let go of our own interpretation, our own need to be right about the conflict.
That willingness is the key that unlocks the door from fear and its endless, exhausting forms to love, which is always steady, singular, and peaceful.
So we really hope this exploration has offered some practical ways to think about and apply this powerful lesson in your own life today. Thank you so much for joining us. We truly value sharing this path with you. Please feel free to connect with us. Email is acim@theworldharmonyproject.org.
And you can also find our explorations on TikTok and YouTube, again at the World Harmony Project. If this resonated, subscribing or leaving a review always helps others find this material too.
Remember that invitation. When irritation, judgment, or fear arises, try that simple prayer. Help me to use the eyes of Christ today. See what shifts.